Hello there, I'm elboydo and welcome to From the Depths. Today we're having a little look at custom cannons. So over here I've got a little bed of custom cannon bits. I've got my camera on very fast, so this can be fun. Let's go into a lovely little mode here and have a little look-see around at everything. So a custom cannon starts with this component right here. All of it found in the custom cannon menu. Here we have a firing piece, this lovely little bit here. Firing piece has 3 connection points, one here to the side, one on top, and a fourth one for bows. To have a cannon you must connect this, you must have this component. It hovering over it tells you everything about your cannon, the ID of the cannon, the reload time, kinetic, explosive, the AP damage, the amount of ammo, the degrees that your cannon can aim at, both the azimuth, so the horizontal, and the vertical, which is the elevation. It can tell you the amount of recoil it has, the amount of ammo it uses per shot, and its accuracy or inaccuracy. So moving on from here, we have a series of cannons. Another quick note: whenever you have this with AI, which we'll cover in a later episode, you've got to have a vehicle controller at any point near this cannon, unless it's mounted on a turret, which we'll also cover. If you've got it mounted on a turret, you just need to connect the local weapon controller to the turret itself, and it will control all cannons connected to said turret. So looking along here, we have a bow. This is the most basic cannon part. The effects are listed here along the side here. It's got a reasonable bit of health. All pieces have the same amount of armor, really, apart from elevation bows and motor bows apparently. But yeah, it mainly increases your accuracy whilst increasing the kinetic and the muzzle velocity, but it adds recoil. It also reduces the effect of motor driven bows and elevation bows, but we'll get to that in a minute. Here we have our recoil suppression bow. This decreases inaccuracy, so it makes your gun a bit more accurate, but at the same time it also decreases recoil. It's a little bit less than the normal bow when it comes to accuracy, so you've really got to make a decision of less recoil or less general accuracy. Then here we get the flash suppression that reduces the amount of flash given off by your cannon. Probably more useful once multiplayer becomes an element of the game, as then it'd be a lot harder for someone to spot your ship firing at them if it's night time or if it's in bad weather conditions. So it could give you, like it says there, the element of surprise. You use same amount of stats really. It increases your inaccuracy, it decreases the velocity of your gun, and it decreases the amount of damage that your gun does. But it also decreases recoil slightly, which is always a good thing. But yeah, it's worth having one. Then here we have the motor driven bow. By having this, you increase the horizontal azimuth of your gun. It has the same sort of effect as on kinetic and muzzle velocity as all your other cannon pieces. It decreases your inaccuracy and it increases recoil. So it's probably the best part to have really. If you make your gun just these, then you'll have around 45 degrees of both elevation and azimuth, or general aim. Then here we have the elevation bow. You want these if you want to be able to hit aircraft. Having one of these allows your cannon to aim around 80 degrees upwards, which in both directions, which is a very, very good thing if you want to take out aircraft. So you see here, it mainly same stats as the previous one, and it's pretty much the same apart from increasing the amount of elevation, but it decreases the amount of horizontal aim you have. Generally, if you're making a cannon, the most advisable strategy I found, if you want to be able to hit aircraft, start with one elevation bow, then do say, in this one we want 3 motor driven bows, so now we have 22 horizontal, 80 degrees of vertical, and then choose any other type of bow component until they're roughly equivalent to how many motor bows you have. So if you have 3 motor driven bows, 1 elevation bow, then you can have 3 of any other bow type. Or you could just stick to purely motor driven, which will give you 45 degrees of aim in every direction, which for heavy guns might work if they're your main cannons. You don't really want to be shooting at aircraft with them. Moving swiftly on, Here we have the gauge increase. Adding this, you can only add it on to the side of the firearm piece. Actually, we'll cover this first. From a firearm piece, you can have a 6-way connector or an up and down connector. It's pretty much what it says on the tin, and front and back connectors. 6-way is certainly the best way to go, but the others are a lot cheaper than the 6-way. So it's really the decision of how you want to connect it. And from here, all these components that I'm about to talk about now connect off here to affect your overall cannon stats. So here we have a gauge increase. This increases the gauge and the size of the shell that goes out of your cannon. It has a maximum amount of 20. It adds 0.9 of the last gauge increase. So it's a diminishing return until a point where you need to add like 10 or 20 of these to really have any further effect on your cannon. Once you reach that point, you can more or less just say you've got to choose if you really want to add more or if you just want to stick with your cannon as it is. Quite often there's a point where you just say there's no value in adding more. So yeah, this increases the reload time, increases the amount of kinetic damage your shell can do, increases the maximum potential for explosive damage. So it's worthwhile having a fair few of these if you want to have high armor piercing or high explosive warheads. You can have that without, but it would take a lot more shells to do a similar amount of damage. Like I said, the trade-off increases your recoil, which can be a problem on small ships, and it increases your reload time. I think once you have a lot of these, the maximum reload you can get is 0.43 of a second. Then we move on to ammo for your gun. Here we have an autoloader. So if you're connecting ammo, you can connect it either through a 6-way connector, or you can connect an autoloader to your 6-way connector, thus increasing the decreasing even the reload time for your weapon. If you can connect off the sides here, here, and here. With the autoloader, there's also an automatic one that's placed automatically, or you can place one that is carefully placed by you, which allows you to get some very tight and compressed systems. Very, very useful. So, what do we connect to 6-way connectors and autoloaders other than gauge increases? We connect these ammo boxes. These hold 200 ammo. They can blow up very slightly if damaged, and generally knock your cannon to pieces. You need to have this if you want a cannon that fires. Your cannon will not fire unless you have at least one. So you can then add a whole load of these. Your cannon will have a slow reload rate. Right now it's got 4. If you increase your gauge, as I'm about to do here, look at that. We've now got a reload of 5.9, and we've got a reload of 7.6. That's before adding anything else to it. So if you want to decrease your reload time, you connect one of these ammo boxes here to an autoloader. You can connect it here, here, and here. Now if you connect this using a 6-way connector to our lovely firearm piece right here, you'll see that we've now got a 1.69 reload, and if you hover over the autoloader, it will tell you the amount of reload time that you've decreased. So it's 0.42 per each fire ammo box. These have a diminishing effect over time, but it's not too difficult if you have enough of these to have very small reloads. Next we have explosive warheads. These add explosive damage to your shells, so upon impact your cannon round will immediately blow up. It means, unfortunately, if you only have explosive warheads, shields can deflect your fire, but at the same time it doesn't matter too much. If you get that hit, you're likely to blow something up and do a lot of damage. It's just generally good. Next we have armor piercing. You increase this and it will have an effect upon the armor piercing rating of your shell. Now I'm not too certain how this affects hitting armor, but I believe there's an armor rating on most things. So your metal blocks have 10, wood blocks have 3, and lightweight alloy blocks have 7. I believe this affects the amount of, as each shell has a set amount of kinetic damage. The higher the AP rating versus the armor rating, the less kinetic health is taken from your shell, which is an excellent thing. 1 second. So you can also combine armor piercing warheads and explosive warheads to get a combined AP HC effect. That would mean that your shells can pierce shields, but they'll still explode upon impact. Normally in the late game you want armor piercing high explosive, Early game you probably want AP, mid game you probably want explosive. But that's the basics of a cannon. In the next episode we're going to try and build one for our little destroyer that we built a little while ago. I hope this has been useful to you guys. I've been elboydo, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take it easy guys, bye for now.